Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to be trying out this hot and sour soup base mix by Harvest. Looks like it's a California product. This is a 1-pound container. I got it on Amazon for about $11.99, something like that. And I just wanted to see, what it is. I've tried several hot and sour soup bases, and I wanted to see how this one tests out. So it looks like there's about 2 3/4 cups, 2.5 cups in this container. And let's see, let's take a look at the ingredients. Let's see what's in it. Maltodextrin, potato starch, dehydrated vegetables, carrot, cabbage, salt, hydrolyzed soy and corn protein, sugar, yeast extract, soy sauce, white pepper, malic acid, caramel, disodium inosonate, and I can't pronounce that, guanylate, and natural flavor. Okay, so as far as the nutrition panel goes, you're probably going to find that it's pretty high in sodium when you consider how much you have to use. So if you're a person that's on a low sodium diet or something like this, this might not be the product for you. So let's see what our other ingredients are. I have a container of extra firm tofu cut into chunks. I have 2 pork chops. I deboned them and cut the pork into tiny little strips like this. They're almost julienne, almost the size of julienne carrots. Maybe just slightly bigger, not much. Let's see, I have some oil for frying the pork. I have 1 cup of this hot and sour soup base. I have some crushed red pepper. I have some vinegar. I have about 2 cups of frozen mushrooms. You can use whatever mushrooms you like. If you want to be authentic, you're going to use the black fungus, of course. I don't have any, so I'm not going to be using it. And I have about 1 cup of shredded carrots. In this pot, I have 12 cups of water. So it's going to be 1 cup of base to 12 cups of water. First things first, I'm going to saute the pork. I got a couple of tablespoons of oil in this pan. As soon as it gets really hot, I'm going to add the pork. I've added a teaspoon of cornstarch to the pork, and I'm going to stir it up really well. I'm frying the pork. Okay, it's not going to take very long. I will give you a tip on getting the pork sliced nice and thin. It works best when it comes to slicing meats if they are partially frozen. That's the easiest way to get them sliced. Not fully frozen, not fully thawed. Partially frozen is perfect. Okay, my pork is golden brown, so I removed it from the heat and set it aside. And here I have 12 cups of water, and I'm going to put a whole cup of the Harvest hot and sour soup base. I'm going to bring this to a boil. I'm going to give it a stir and come back in a minute. I'll show you what it looks like. This is just the water and the mix, and as you can see, there's little chips of carrots. Looks like little chips of what is that? Cabbage or something like that. I think that was on the label. I can already tell you I'm going to have to add cornstarch for sure, because right now it's thin and brothy, and I don't know if it's going to thicken up, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to add a little cornstarch to this. Almost forgot. Bamboo shoots and water chestnuts are options as well if you would like to add that. You just want to drain them first. I can already tell you I'm going to have to add something to this base. Number 1, vinegar for sure. Number 2, probably some red pepper flakes. To me, it's neither hot nor sour. And I don't know if adding more broth mix is the solution, but to me it just doesn't have that kick. It's a nice soup base, but it's not everything. Now, you can definitely taste the white pepper, because that's mostly where hot and sour soup gets its kick, is from white pepper. 2 teaspoons of white vinegar I may end up adding a little more, but that's where we're at right now. Add half a teaspoon of crushed red pepper. And that may seem conservative, but once the pepper heats up, it will infiltrate the soup quite a bit. And so, you know, I would just say always add a little at a time. You can add more, but you can never take it away. I'm going to add the pork and the carrot. So I took the water chestnuts and strained them, and then I put them on a cutting board, and I chopped them up just a little bit so that they would be smaller pieces. Unslivered bamboo shoots, they were too wide, and so I cut them into slivers. Okay, and I drained them, and I'm going to add them now to the soup. Mushrooms, I just got these out of the freezer. They were fresh, and I didn't want them to go bad, so I cut them up and put them in the freezer. It's probably about 2 cups. Finding that the flavor is sort of lacking for my taste, so I'm going to add a tablespoon. So that's 1 cup and 1 tablespoon so far. This is the first time I've used this. That's why this is an experiment. Another tablespoon. So that's 1 1/8 cup, because 2 tablespoons is 1/8 of a cup, 4 tablespoons is 1/4 cup. And we'll see if I'm happy with that. That's a little bit better. So far, I would give this soup base, I would give it I'd give it a B minus. How's that? I've had better, and I've had worse. Yeah, that seems to have brought the heat. Those extra 2 tablespoons. So yeah, 1 cup and 2 tablespoons is what I used. Now I'm going to add the tofu, and I'll add the egg last because, you know, it's more delicate. It's going to cook more quickly. I added 2 more teaspoons of vinegar because I really like vinegar, so I've used a total of 4 teaspoons of vinegar. I'm going to give that a taste and see where we are. Spiciness, the heat level is just about right, but the thickness of this soup, like I said, I think I'm going to have to add a little cornstarch. So what I'll do is I'll make a cornstarch slurry. I'll use like a tablespoon of cornstarch and a tablespoon of water and mix it up and pour it in here until I get the desired thickness, because it's just a little bit too thin and soupy for me. That's just my opinion. Slurry. That's a tablespoon of water and a tablespoon of cornstarch. And now we'll pour it in. And that's to prevent lumps. We'll see how that does. And if that's not thick enough, I'll repeat the process until it's the desired thickness. I'm going to give it about 5 minutes, though, to thicken before I add any more. Just tasted it again, and it just lacks a certain je ne sais quoi. So I'm going to add a little hot sauce. All it is red pepper and vinegar, a little bit of garlic. So it's not going to hurt a thing. My opinion is it needs more heat, even though the white pepper, you know, gives it quite a bit. I just need a little extra kick in my soup. Still lacks what I would call depth. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I do tend to like my hot and sour soup a little on the dark side. Not dark brown, but, you know, about like this. And we'll see what I can tell you right now is this is a decent soup base. But you're going to have to doctor it a bit if you're like me and you're a little bit more of a pickier eater. And that's all I'll say. So I added another teaspoon of vinegar to my soup because I like for my hot and sour soup to grab me by the throat and throw me to the floor. I want to taste that vinegar. I want to taste that hot pepper. That's just me. Some of them restaurants out there, though, they're putting sugar in it. Sugar in hot and sour soup, and I just cannot relate. I don't understand why. I think that's just hideous, but that's just me. If I go to a restaurant and their hot and sour soup has sugar in it, I will not eat it. Ugh. Ugh. So here I have 5 lightly beaten eggs. I'm just going to pour them in here. And then I'll give it a very light stir with a fork. Just to make some threads. Don't want to over stir. just very lightly like so. And this should make about 4 large hot and sour soups. So that container has about 2.5 cups in it. So I would say you could get 2 batches of soup like this one out of that one can. And like I said, it's like $11.99. So, you know, would I do it again? Probably. Like I said, I'd give it a B-. And that's because you have to doctor it so much with other flavorings. Don't forget sliced green onions and fried wontons, otherwise known as crispy noodles. Okay, at the end of it all, it makes about 15 cups of soup. To me, a large serving is 3 cups, so that would be 5 large hot and sour soups. I think earlier I said 4. That's before I added all of the ingredients, however. Another question you may be asking is doing it this way cheaper than going out to a restaurant? Well, that depends on a number of factors. When I go to a Chinese restaurant, hot and sour soup is pretty much all I order. I may order some pot stickers or something like that on the side. I would say it comes out about the same because you have the cost of the bamboo shoots, the water chestnuts, the eggs, the pork, the mushrooms, also the seasonings that had to be added. So if you had to buy all that stuff up front, it would be like astronomical. It would be ridiculous. But, you know, if you just wanted to make it at home, couldn't get out for some reason, didn't want to go to a restaurant for some reason, then, you know, this just might be your thing. Like I said, I think it turned out fine. I'm going to eat it. Got no issues with it. Another thing, there is maltodextrin on the ingredient list, but this doesn't taste sugary to me. You know, I can barely detect it. It's not overwhelming. It's not like somebody poured maple syrup in it, like at some restaurants I've tasted. So, mention, I did end up adding 2 more tablespoons of the mix, the soup broth, which brings that to 1 1/4 cups instead of 1 1/8 cups, like 1 cup and 2 tablespoons. And it really did the trick. So basically you're going to get about 2 large batches out of that 1 can. One final thought. Now sesame oil is extremely strong, so I only put a teaspoon in here. It's optional, but I just think it gives it that, I don't know, it's kind of a smoky flavor in a way, and I like it. I really like the flavor of it. So, you know, that's optional, but just a suggestion. So, this is what it looks like visually. That's 4 large hot and sours, and I'm going to have 1 today. Those are going to go in the freezer. I like to take my food to work. I don't like to eat out. I'm just a picky eater, and I like everything, you know, to my taste, and you just can't hardly get that in restaurants. But I'm so glad I added that sesame oil. Just 1 teaspoon was enough. It's coming on strong, stronger than a lonely sailor. I mean, it is really good. So, anyway, thank you. Give it a try and tell me what you think. So there you have it, garnished with the green onions and the wonton strips. I cheated on the wonton strips. I got the Fresh Gourmet, okay? But if you want to make crispy noodles, like I said, all you have to do is slice up some wonton wrappers and deep fry them. Same thing.